Hi Virgo, welcome to The Modern Spiritualist. My name is Raheem. Today we're going to do the general October spread for the sign of Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. So if you know your sun sign and it's Virgo, you're in the right place. If you know your moon and your rising signs, make sure to look for those as well. I'm going to show you guys the spread. I did a Celtic cross spread for the month of October. And then we will go through these cards one at a time. So your catalyst energy for the month is the Priestess. So this is the card that's kind of going to be the main theme or thread that kind of runs through the month of October and intertwines with all of these cards. So it's kind of like a main general theme. And then the heart of the matter, which is kind of your starting place, your center point for this month, is the Knight of Swords. Crossing that energy, which is kind of your main challenge or hurdle, we have the Devil. In your deep past that affects the present, we have the Two of Cups. And your new circumstance or near future is the Five of Cups. In your foundation, what is grounding you, keeping you here, we have the Two of Pentacles. And crowning you, what you're thinking about, your inspiration, your higher power, is the Magician. Your energy in the month of October is the Four of Swords reversed, clarified by the Five of Swords, which is nice because we have a natural progression here, which means that you are moving forward from the Five to the Six, or from the Four to the Five. Your environmental energy in the month of October is the Two of Swords, and that is clarified by the Ace of Pentacles. Hopes and fears this month, we have the Four of Pentacles reversed. And your outcome this month, we have the Seven of Pentacles. Okay, so let's get into this. Okay, so the catalyst, the Priestess. In a Rider-Waite deck, this would be the High Priestess, same thing. This is all about intuition. Specifically, what I'm getting here is honing your intuition, making sure that you're really, Virgo, making sure that you're really on the right path. Not on this path of doing what others think you should do. Also not on this path that's kind of led by your fears and your trauma, or motivated rather by your fears and trauma. Basically your fears and trauma motivating the choices that you make rather than making the choices that you really need for you to move forward. So really ask yourself, Virgo, where you're letting fear run the story of your life. Where you are letting fear kind of get in the way of your own destiny. And keep in mind here that if you're in a place that is kind of the logical conclusion of your own fear, your own trauma, what people might tend to do is try to get you to focus, or maybe even yourself, because you are Virgo, you are an earth sign, and you're a very logical sign as well. The pattern can be to try to think about the practical and kind of force yourself into this place where you paralyze yourself because your trauma or your fear is very loud. It's motivating the choices that you make more than the practical is, more than the logical is, but you make it yourself in this place mentally where you are kind of shaming yourself potentially for not doing what you think you should do, what makes practical sense or what makes logical sense. And this is really not going to work for you, Virgo, whether you're doing it to yourself or the people around you or doing it to you because they're trying to help you. Either way, that's just not the resource for you right now. What you really need to do this month is take some space to really go deep into yourself and try to give yourself time to do this. It can be challenging to do this because we might get triggered, or not even triggered. We might become more aware of our own triggers or more aware of our own sort of emotions when we actually take the time to pause on our life and get real with ourselves and how we're feeling and what we need and where we're going. And this is when we tend to go towards coping mechanisms so that we don't have to think about it. What happens is if we get triggered, we go to TV or we go to drugs or we go to social media or like whatever the thing is for you during the course of while that trigger is basically playing out, because triggers happen in your body. And so the body has a sensation, which creates emotion, which creates story. Staying in that trigger was very uncomfortable. And so basically what we tend to do is go to a coping mechanism while the trigger runs its course so we can ignore it. That is probably not going to be the best approach for you, because if you don't know what's triggering you, you're not going to know what to clear. And you're not going to have a clear sense of what you really want to be doing, what's really in your heart and soul, what would be motivating you if you were really listening to your heart, to your soul, and to your vision, right? So this month is sort of about being able to get in the space where you're actually paying attention to your own body, your own triggers, and its needs. Because if you can get through that, if you can get past the triggers and like the surface level shit, basically, and get to kind of, if you see here, this is a very watery card. The Priestess is kind of got this dual thing going on, where above here in the curvature is kind of like the surface level. Beneath that is like all the deep stuff, kind of the yin space. Sorry if you can hear my rabbit, she's making noise. And so you want to get to this deep yin space, basically, where everything is still and you can really pay good attention to what forces are really trying to get your attention, and what you really need to do next within the course of your own soul work and your own destiny. So this is the general theme running through the month. I talked about that for a while. Okay. So the heart of the matter this month. This is kind of your starting place. This is what's on your heart. This is the center point. It's the Knight of Swords. Some of you may be just waiting for opportunity rather than chasing it. And I would encourage you, instead of waiting for something to fall into your lap, to begin seeking it out. Because whatever you put in, the universe will give back to you. If you're just waiting for something to happen, it's never going to happen. So make sure that you are really taking action this month to move towards something that you either want or you need. Some of this may be based on need. So make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And just like the physical material level things, like, are you making enough money? Do you have a healthy routine? Watch what you're eating. Watch your sleep schedule. The Knight of Swords can come with a bit of a scattered energy. So if you're not on a good routine, you might want to make that the focus, because the healthier your routine, the more stable you'll feel and the easier it will be to move into this deep water, this deep intuitive energy. So really watch that. Watch your routine this month. Crossing you, we have the Devil. I get the sense that there's a truth, Virgo, that you just really don't want to hear, but it's something that you already know. It's something that you know, it has been on your mind, and you've been avoiding, you've been going to coping mechanisms. The Devil can really suggest negative coping mechanisms, which may not necessarily be negative on the surface. What makes it negative is maybe potentially not necessarily the habit itself, not that some coping mechanisms aren't damaging to your body or your mind, but also look for the coping mechanisms that don't damage your body or mind. They just completely distract you from what you really need to be doing right now. And then before you know it, life has passed you by, right? And so watch for those coping mechanisms. Watch for the ways in which you avoid your triggers or try to ignore your triggers, because your triggers are kind of the key to unlock the rest of your life, basically. That's a big healing step for you, that you're potentially stepping into. The energy is available to you. Basically, just don't let it pass you by, because the Knight of Swords can be really fast and it can mean opportunity. But the thing about the quickness of the Knight of Swords is that if you let the opportunity pass you by, it's gone and it's done. So if you're kind of too busy being involved in your own negative coping mechanisms this month, you are going to miss this opportunity. So be very, very careful. Try to really raise your awareness level, and pay attention to what's going on, to what's really going on in your life. Deep past that is affecting the present moment is the Two of Cups. The Two of Cups is really quite beautiful. The Two of Cups is kind of asking you to remember a time in which you were kind of your own best friend, in which you really paid attention to your own heart, your own soul, its needs, met its needs, and really had this relationship with yourself where you were your own counsel, you were your own provider. Because this is really asking you to find a way back to that. Find the way back to yourself. Because that's the kind of harmony that you need to kind of have that moment where you understand where you're going next, on a really deep soul level. And so this is basically saying you've been there before, which means you can be there again. You just kind of got to move through this devil energy and clear some of the shit that's in the way, so that you can really have a good conversation with yourself. A good, truthful conversation where you're really airing the reality of your situation, whatever it is. Okay, and new circumstance, we have the Five of Cups. There's going to be a moment, Virgo. There's going to be a moment where if you kind of accept some of these truths that you've been avoiding, which is the devil, accepting truths that are hard, can be the Knight of Swords as well. There's going to be grief because you're going to kind of realize the ways in which you have not been your best friend. The Two of Cups energy is going to kind of nudge you towards, towards this intimacy with yourself that has been missing for so long. And there could be a point in which you're kind of grieving that, where you're grieving all of the times in which you did not show up for yourself, all the times in which you weren't intimate with yourself, all the times in which you've let your life pass you by, and not, actively been working towards your destiny, towards that soul's purpose, towards your own happiness, your own joy, your own peace, right? And one of the reasons why we do avoid these truths and why we put off these kinds of conversations that we need to have with ourselves, right, and really tap into that intuition, is kind of the debt that we've racked up. We rack up this debt of grief because for every moment that we aren't connected with our own soul, with our own heart, with our own truth, is a moment that we need to grieve. But this isn't something that just goes away. It's kind of like the water will overboil if you don't deal with it sooner rather than later. And so, this is asking you to be brave, to really step into your spiritual warriorship and to accept the grief that you need to do. And the really interesting thing about grief is that when we're fully in it, it really doesn't take that long. The hardest part about grief is avoiding it. So much easier to just grieve freely, because grief is a really, really compassionate emotion. It really comes through you in these layers and waves, and so it never gets to a point where it's super intolerable, because grief is really like water. It kind of flows and ebbs if you allow it to trace its natural path through your body, and it's just a natural part of life. It's really not that big of a deal. It really doesn't hurt that bad. It really doesn't take that long. The only thing that makes grief take forever is if we're not dealing with it. And so make sure that you really grieve these aspects of your life that you didn't show up for, and then let it go, because then you can move on fully and you'll be cleaned out. You'll be lighter. Life won't feel so heavy, so stagnant. This energy won't be weighing you down so much because it'll be gone. It'll have run its course. And so, as scary as the Five of Cups can feel, it's actually a really, really, really beautiful energy. And it's here to help you. It's really here. You see this stream that's kind of running in the background? It's here to be that stream for you. So it can be smooth sailing after this, right? Grief means that we're real. It means we're alive. It means that we're feeling, that we're connected with our heart. It's really quite beautiful. Okay, enough on that. In your foundation, this is kind of what's stabilizing you. this month we have the Two of Pentacles. And so the key here with this Priestess energy, where you're going into your emotions, you're going into your intuition, you're tapping into those deeper aspects of yourself. What's going to be key here is titrating. And by titrating, what I mean is kind of going back and forth between the things that bring you comfort and then back into the deep water. And so for, let's say, every moment that you kind of go into this deep water and you have a realization, or you let some emotions go through you, or you have a grieving moment, for every moment that you do that successfully, reward yourself with something really comforting. Reward yourself with something that you love, something that's going to keep you busy, or something that's going to kind of get you out of your own head a little bit. And so you're not like so stuck in here that it's like, that it feels like the end of the world. You're also not totally avoiding it by using coping mechanisms all day long. Okay, there's going to be kind of a balance here, and that's how you're going to get through all of this with relative ease. That's going to be really key for you. And so when in doubt, think about the Two of Pentacles, and think about that titration, okay? Crowning you this month. This is what's inspiring you. This is what you're thinking about. We have the Magician. The Magician is telling you that you really have the power to carve your life however you want to envision and map out your life and then take action, that you can do whatever you want to do in this life. The only thing ultimately holding you back is you. And so the Magician is asking you to pick up your power. It's asking you to say it's time to step into your power, pick up your power, clear out the pieces that you've left behind, so that you can kind of start again on neutral ground, start from square one, and then map out your life. Get clear on your vision, ask yourself what you want, and then work to manifest it. This is saying that you have all the tools available to you. You have all the power within you to do it. It's just that measure of will and choice to say, I'm going to do this now. Again, spiritual warriorship seems to be a really big theme for this. This is asking you to be brave. This is asking you to be courageous. This is asking you to be truthful and in your reality. To listen to the universe, to really work to understand and accept the harder truths. And so that you're not lying to yourself anymore about anything. So that you have a clear, clean, intimate relationship with yourself and your heart and your soul. And so from here on out, there's less gunk, there's less mess, there's less stagnation. There's just you and your vision and the things that you want that are going to make you happy. And the Magician is saying that you can do this, you have the power to do it. Okay. So, this is your energy for the month of October, starting with the Four of Swords reversed. You're really burned out, and you may be in a phase in your life where there's like less going on. I know some people aren't working right now, obviously. Maybe something has happened in your life that has kind of cleared your plate in certain ways, but this is kind of saying that it wasn't necessarily wanted, perhaps, or it's really stressing you out more than anything, or you're not really taking advantage of the break and you're kind of just like working your own nerves and running your energy to exhaustion in other ways. So this is just saying that you're probably really exhausted but really resistant to understanding that. So really cultivate that yin space. I mean, we said it here too. This is about being in that yin space, about really taking some time, pausing your life to get clear on things and to recuperate. So make sure that you're recuperating, but I mean really recuperating, like being in bed, just in bed, no phone, no blue light, no TV, nothing kind of working your nerves, because when you're staring at a screen, neurons are firing, so it's not real rest. Make sure that you're really resting. Go to an arboretum or like a meditation garden, or like get out in nature, go on a hike, do something that's really going to reset your energy body, because that's where real rest comes. Rest doesn't necessarily come from like sitting on the couch and watching TV. Sometimes that's actually counterproductive. And so make sure you're doing things that feel really restful, because I get the sense that you're trying to rest, but you're not actually resting. So make sure that you're really cultivating yin space. Ask the moon what to do, or ask the earth, ask energy that is yin space, how you can best cultivate your own yin energy, so that when it's time for you to move forward again, you actually feel rejuvenated and like you have the energy to do so. Okay. Five of Swords. It's clarifying the Four of Swords. So your ego is really not your friend right now. I'm feeling just a lot of mental warfare. I mean, it's a Mars retrograde theme as well. This could be you fighting with other people in your life, but I just get the sense that it's not. I think most of you are really just fighting yourselves. I get the sense that there's a lot of confusion, and you just don't know quite what you want yet. You don't quite know where you want your life to go. There may be fear that even if you knew what you wanted, you wouldn't be able to get it. There's just a lot of triggers. There's a lot of triggering happening. And Virgo has the tendency to shut down. And so, for many of you, that could be the struggle this month, is not dissociating, to really stay with those triggers, to be with your priestess energy, and to really work through them. For those of you that tend to get hyper, that tend to get stressed and hyperactive when you're triggered, which is true for some of you. I can feel it, especially with this Four of Swords energy. If you tend to really work your own nerves and get really worked up, and hyper aroused, this yin energy cultivation is going to be really key. That's specifically for one or a few of you. Is that because you're not fully relaxing, you're always hyper aroused, and so you're going to have to find the thing that allows you to really relax, and cultivate that yin energy, because your brain's not going to be able to fight this out. Like, this is not something that you can resolve in your mind. This is something you have to bring into your body and then release psychosomatically, okay? So, for those of you that meditate or practice mindfulness meditation specifically, that's going to be really important. Really focus on your breath and pull yourself out of your mind, because your mind is just at war, and there's no resolution on that level, because what's happening is you're being triggered in your body and your mind is creating narrative. So everything that you can do to ground yourself and pull yourself into your body this month is really, really important, okay? Environmental energy. We have the Two of Swords and the Ace of Pentacles. This is pretty nice for the most part. The Two of Swords can be indecision. This could be, there's kind of two situations happening in your life. You kind of had to pick one or the other, and you're not sure which one to choose. This could also just be somebody else in your life that is dealing with that, where they don't quite know what to do. With Two of Swords, there can be kind of this experience of not knowing, not having clarity on these two options, either in the present moment or like not understanding the outcome of them and not really knowing how to make a clear decision. And this is also your mind kind of trying to hijack the situation and logic or reason out these two different options, and then just ending up at stalemate. And so with the Two of Swords energy, the way to make the decision is always the priestess. It's always tapping into your intuition and going with what feels right, or with what the universe suggests to you, rather than your mind figuring it out, because it's ultimately not a mind decision, it's a heart decision. And you need your intuition for that. You need your gut. You don't need your mind. But I think there's going to be a good outcome from this Two of Swords energy when you do kind of choose which way you want to go, because we have the Ace of Pentacles, which is a new start, particularly a new start in the physical material world. And the Ace of Pentacles, what you have to understand is that aces in general are pure potential energy. So the Ace of Pentacles is basically saying you've planted the seed, right? You have the whole world ahead of you, this pure potential for you to do anything you want with. And in that way, it's very, very infinitely powerful. In another way, if you don't pick up your own power, nothing will happen. Ace of Pentacles isn't saying, hey, it's finally here. Ace of Pentacles is saying you're right on the start. You have all this potential, but you still have to do the work. All right, so making this decision is going to be huge, but then sticking to whatever decision you make, and seeing it through to the end is also going to be key, because there's going to be something really amazing on the other side of it if you do the work and you make the commitment and stay consistent with that commitment. Okay. Hopes and fears this month. We have the Four of Pentacles. Money may be a problem for some of you, which is a really big collective theme right now, obviously. I get this sense that something in you is blocking your money flow, some sort of trigger. So I would look into that, because if you can clear that trigger or clear that energy, it'll open something up for you that just wasn't available before. Now, this could just be something that you can clear on your own if you guys have clearing practices. For one or a few of you, I think you need a healing. I think I'm getting ancestral healing specifically. There's something in somebody's family line, some sort of generational trauma that is blocking money flow. And so if that is the case, please talk to a practitioner. If you want a recommendation for a practitioner, if this resonates with you, then please reach out to me. DM me on Instagram, that would probably be best, but you can email me as well. And I can recommend a practitioner, because basically you can't make anything happen in terms of money flow, because generational trauma is preventing you from making anything happen. And that's not your fault. That's just something that you need to get a healing for, to free up the energy so that you can move on with your life. Really common as well. But that's specifically for one or a few of you. The rest of you just need to address your own kind of relationship with money flow, clear your own triggers about it, maybe about if you're worthy of money, if you deserve money, or if you specifically sort of see money as like the root of all evil. Like sometimes if you have a bad perception of like what money is, which is really just a flow of energy, that's all money is. I mean, we can misuse it, but there's nothing actually inherently evil about money. So check that as well. That can come with the devil as well. If you have this narrative of like money is the root of all evil, that could actually be preventing you from getting money. So look out for that. That's specifically for one of you as well. Okay. And if it's not money, it could be intimacy. It could be, again, this Two of Cups energy that we have here. It could be self-intimacy, like you're really afraid to open up to yourself and your own stories and your own truths and your own triggers to work for them, which that's a, super valid fear, right? This could also just be you're afraid to open up to people in your life, which that can be debilitating, because if you're not getting support from other people who know what's going on with you, you won't have a good enough container spiritually to work through your own shit and transform. You really need people in your corner to hold space for you to do that, and they can't hold space for you if they don't know what's going on with you. And so if you're afraid to open up to other people in your life, again, it's really just about stepping into spiritual warriorship and doing it anyway, even though you're afraid, because it's ultimately going to help you heal and move on. Outcome, we have the Seven of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles can just mean that you're really tired, not burned out tired, not to that point yet, but just tired. And that would make a lot of sense to me, because if you guys are really doing the work this month and moving through all this stuff, you're gonna be tired, because you're integrating so much new energy and clearing out so much old shit. If you don't do the work and all these triggers are coming up for you to clear, but you're not doing it, that'll still exhaust you, because you're still being triggered all the time, even though you're not working through it. And now you've got this stagnant overload of energy that you're not dealing with, which is also super tiring. So either way, you're going to be tired, whether you do the work or not. But the Seven of Pentacles is also saying, like, you're kind of in a position where you feel like there's a lot in your life that has overgrown, potentially. Things that haven't been pruned out, things that haven't been refined, right? And you're Virgo, you like refinement. And so there may be just be kind of this feeling of like, what have I done? Or like, is what I've done worth it? You could feel like you've just wasted a lot of time, or been like, I put so much energy into this one thing to ultimately realize that it wasn't for me, which is why it can be hard to let go of certain things, because it's like, I put energy into this, right? And it can be upsetting to like have to let go of something that you really worked for. when you realize it doesn't work, or it's no longer working for you or resonating with your energy, it can be really disappointing. But that's life. I mean, that's just part of growing as a soul is cultivating things and letting it go. I mean, it's this cycle, right? It's this continuous cycle. And it's not like you never have a takeaway from anything. I mean, everything is ultimately moving towards self-realization, right? So you've in everything that you've done that's no longer working for you, at a certain point in your life, it was working for you. And ask yourself, at that point in your life, what did it bring you? What was the gift of that experience? And then if you can take that away, you can let go of the rest, right? So, I mean, keep the things that you've learned or the things that you've gained from the things you've done in the past, keep it close to your heart, give gratitude to them, and then let go of the rest. You don't need to keep things that have overgrown. And so the Seven of Pentacles can kind of be like a moving away from something and moving towards something else, but kind of in like an aggravating way almost, or like you can feel like you failed. You didn't fail. The only way you can fail is not showing up and not doing the work. That's the only way you can truly fail. If you gave something your all and it just didn't work out, that's not a failure. That's just a learning experience, right? And we're here to learn. That's why we're incarnate, right? To learn what it's like to be in these physical forms, because it's weird. Physical form is super weird. We're souls. We're like, what the hell's going on here, right? And so we're here to learn that. We're here to learn how to make meaning out of this life, how, ultimately how to evolve our own soul, because we can't really do that without the free will of the form, right? So start refining, start pruning the overgrown trees, so that you can shape it and make it something beautiful and make it something that resonates with where you are now and who you are now. And then you'll be on the right track, right? Because ultimately, I think what you're tired of here is the things that aren't working. You're tired of that story, the this isn't working story, and you're ready to move on, right? So this is going to be a really powerful month for you, Virgo, if you use the energy well. Really powerful month. I'm so proud of the work that you've done this year, of all of the signs that I've read this year. I feel like Virgo and Taurus have had the most like really juicy like trigger work, and so I've been really proud to watch you guys develop through these cards, and watch you change your own story, and I know it's not over yet. I mean, it's really never over, but there's going to be a period in your life where you reach a huge milestone and you can breathe, right? And you can relax, and it's just going to be easier for you, right? And that's where we're trying to go. We're trying to get through this dense energy so we can come out on the other side of it and celebrate together, and move towards lessons that are ultimately going to be a little easier and a lot more fun. And I can't wait to see what you guys accomplish, in this life and this work together, because you're going somewhere great. This energy wouldn't be here, and it wouldn't be so thick if there wasn't like a really awesome gift at the end of this. So I'm excited to find out what that is for each of you. So that's all I have for you for the month of October. Keep in mind, it is a Mars retrograde. So collectively, everybody's being triggered. The people in your life, if they come at you with difficulty or with harshness, try to hold space for them with grace, because ultimately it's really not about you. Everyone's kind of going through their own collective shit right now, and so have grace with the people in your life. Everyone's kind of upset and agitated and anxious right now, and of course, Virgo, you're no exception this month. But it's just a transit. It's a transit we face every 2 years. It's not new. We've done it before. We can do it again, right? I think everybody remembers 2018 when Mercury and Mars were in retrograde at the same time, like at the end of summer. And, this is not that. So we're going to be fine. I hope you guys have a good month. Make sure to titrate between healthy coping mechanisms, things that make you comfortable, things that keep you busy, and the real work, the trigger work, the emotional work, tapping into your intuition, meditating, things like that, right? That titration is going to be key to your balance and your center and your ability to do this work this month. I think that's the most important point. And remember why you're doing it. Ultimately for your own happiness, right? For your own peace, for your own soul development. So I hope you guys have a great month of October. Happy birthday, by the way. And I hope to see you guys in November.